Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of VAR Espresso. Once again, it's Leo and myself holding the fort, as it were, as ever. How are you today, Leo?
I'm fine, thanks. And to answer your off question, it's on Sunday.
Okay. Yes, so what are we doing today? Today we are looking at some of the games from the Women's European Championship, with Group A finalising. We are also having a quick look at the Club World Cup final, although obviously the big preview of that will be hopefully tomorrow. And then we'll have a little look at some transfer stuff as well, because there have been some interesting movements in the Premier League I can touch on. And also, obviously, I'm not sure we've discussed about Lyon's appeal to remain in Ligue 1, which you might want to touch on. In fact, do you want to start with that, because it was big news, but for many people it wasn't actually that surprising. I think a lot of people assumed, because Lyon's such a big club, that there's a bit more, let's say, leeway for the bigger teams.
Yeah, the thing every Lyon supporters were afraid about is that L'Équipe, which is the main sports magazine in France, announced that to make the appeal, to win this appeal, Lyon owners should give 200 million euros to convince the NCG, and finally, it was only they said it was only 124 million. So it's huge, but less important than the amount announced. So yeah, it's really good for Lyon, for Ligue 1, because as you said, it's one of the biggest club, even if it's been now more than 15 years they didn't have win a single championship. It's a relief, to be honest, because as a Lyon fan, if the club went down to Ligue 2, it would have been the death of the club because of the charges. Impossible to assume in second division. So we were talking about demotion to semi-professional level. So yeah, now it's quite better to know that we will be playing both in Ligue 1 and in the Europa League, because Lyon finished sixth in Ligue 1 last season.
What do you think was the deciding factor? Because obviously John Textor had to resign as the chairman, he's been replaced by Michel Kang. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Who owns the women's team?
Yeah,
Lyon.
Lyon,
as well as obviously other teams. Do you think that was the deciding factor, or like the idea that there was like a solid fix that was proposed? What was your interpretation of the reasons why they were allowed? I mean, because obviously I think also was it 100 million euros which was just injected into the club to help with running costs. From your interpretation, what do you think was the key reason why Lyon were granted this?
The main reason is because Michel Kang and Ares, who loaned a lot of money to John Textor, they bring money in OL bank account, as Textor wanted to give money to Eagle Football Group. So Lyon, Botafogo, Crystal Palace, and Florida FC, which is an academy in the US. So now Michel Kang brought money in the Lyon account and not in the group account. So it was capital for the NCG, because when you have money from a global account, you don't know where the money is, because the thing is that John Textor sold a lot of active things in Lyon. So there was a concert hall, bullying and everything, which Jean-Michel Aulas, the previous president, have constructed for Lyon, and he sold it all and inject money in Botafogo to win the Brasileirão and the Copa Libertadores.
Yeah, I suppose we should also point out that just because Lyon have been spared relegation and they've had 100 million euros pumped into the account, they're still in the situation where they'll probably have to sell more players, correct?
Yeah.
So they've already sold Turkey, they've already sold, remind me, who else?
They had a press conference. Michel Kang and Michael Gerlinger, who used to be at Bayern München, he's now the CEO of Lyon, and they explained that they will have to sell, but like every club, but they don't need to sell as much as we expected. For example, Georges Mikotadze, who has been real hope in the Georgian forward, who has been a great season last season in 2024-2025. He was on the move if Lyon were demoted, but now they said that they don't want him to go. So maybe I think Malik Fofana, the left winger, and Lucas Perry, our goalkeeper, will be sold to make some cash, to make some money, because we need to recall that also UEFA gave Lyon a ban. How can I say that?
Prevention. An embargo.
Yeah, an embargo. Yeah. So they will need to sell, but not as much as expected. So it's a good idea. And for those who don't really know about Lyon is a formative club, one of the best in Europe. So the thing is that there will certainly be a lot of youngsters in the squad next season.
Mm. So you get the feeling that despite being saved relegation, it is going to get a lot harder for Lyon in regards to, selling some of their prime assets and then having to play youngsters. Yeah. Inevitably, there's going to be a dip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, let's. Thank you for that update. Shall we move on to yesterday's Women's European Championship?
Yeah.
Now, I got my predictions slightly wrong. I said the Finland-Switzerland game was going to be. I said it's going to be a lot of fun with both teams needing some kind of result to go through. That was quite a tense affair until about the 75th minute, and then the ending was fantastic. Whereas the game with absolutely nothing riding on it, Norway against Iceland, ended up being 4-3, which is an amazing match. But let's start with Finland 1, Switzerland 1. Switzerland only needed a draw to get out of Group A as runners-up. But Finland took the lead in the 75th minute, like a clumsy foul from Kanaguli, which was dispatched. And then for, there were 11 minutes left on the clock, and Finland were in the next round. Did you watch this match?
I watched, yeah. And as you said, it was first I want to point out that it was a great atmosphere. It was the record attendance for this at the stadium in the tournament. I think Switzerland deserved their place in the quarterfinals, even if the score was just 1-1, because they have dominated the game. It's the first time for them to be qualified in the UEFA Euro quarterfinals, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So it's a great achievement. Everyone was really happy after the game. We heard sentences in the press conference from the manager. They said that they need to enjoy this moment because it's historic, and Switzerland have shown the world what they are able to do. Now they will likely to face Spain in the quarterfinal. If Spain win against Italy, I think.
They just draw. They just need a draw.
Yeah, they just need a draw. it was, yeah, as you said, it was chaotic with the last minute goals from Shamali. If I'm
Yeah, it's a Jamini. It's like a Z sound.
Germany, yeah, yeah. So it was. I think it's really deserved at looking at the game. What did you think
Uh,
about that one?
well, obviously, a tense affair. So so first of all, you talk about the attendance was terrific. In the first game, Switzerland had 34,000 in attendance. Switzerland's second game, 29,000. This one was 26,000. Different venues, obviously. That's over 90,000 in total, which is I think is such a huge thing for a footballing nation that there wasn't much interest in the women's game, from the best we can tell. Or the coverage suggests, at least. You know, like a lot of European countries, there's some, but not much. But also shows the benefit of having a tournament like this. You know, really engages fans.
Yeah.
So yeah, having 90,000 over 3 matches is terrific. And of course, they've got another match, and chances are they'll be playing the world champions, which will be a terrific occasion.
Yeah. Just I read a piece yesterday saying that there were about 600,000 tickets sold before the start of the tournament.
Yeah,
So
it was the best-selling women's European Championship
yeah,
ever before a ball had been kicked, which is yeah, incredible. But also shows again sort of the growing of the women's game, the interest, and also just the universal support. You know, I think a lot more people are wanting to support women's game, especially as it's more accessible and more affordable than a lot of the men's tournaments now. But yeah, but it's terrific. But to finish off the game, yes, Finland were in the lead in the 77th minute, 79th minute, sorry, and Switzerland had to roll the dice. They made a couple of attacking substitutions, put Finland under great amount of pressure, and found the equaliser 2 minutes into stoppage time with Reuteler shooting from the edge of the box. Yeah, and it being followed in from about 4 yards out. That was a moment, wasn't it? That's
yeah,
considering it's like almost like a last minute equaliser to go through, and the whole crowd go wild. That's going to be the defining moment of the tournament. Assuming Switzerland don't beat Spain, that's going to be the defining moment of the tournament, you would think.
yeah. Of course, because of course they are home, so it's very important. And as we said, it's historic for Switzerland. And the more the thing which is dramatic is the last minute equalizer from a missed shot from Reuters because it was missed, and then the score were like a killer in the box. So yeah, it was quite everything made it chaotic.
Yeah, but it was also exciting, right? What you didn't want was Switzerland to. What I thought might happen. This is why I said I thought it would be a great game. Was Switzerland score first and Finland had to then attack. But what's actually happened, which I'll be releasing my match reports in the next hour or so. What happened was
But
Finland actually controlled the game.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. We felt a lot of tension in that game. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, well, yes, absolutely. Finland managed to quiet the crowd, which is a tactic that a lot of teams do when playing away or playing, against, in this case, the host nation. Finland, I think, actually almost played the perfect game. I suppose what I want to talk about, and some pundits will talk about this afterwards. I can't help but feel bad for Finland because they've played 3 matches and they've not been outplayed once. They were the better team against Norway. Although Norway had a period of I think 15 minutes in which they scored twice, missed a penalty. But besides that, Finland were the better team. They again had better possession. They had better control of where the ball was played in the pitch. They were the better team against Iceland and got the win. They were the better team against Switzerland. Switzerland had more shots, but had a significantly lower XG, even if you remove the XG for the penalty for Finland. So Finland have been the better side in basically all 3 of their matches, and yet they've been eliminated. So you got to feel bad for them because they've really they really could have been luckier, couldn't they? Essentially, I think this comes down to they really shouldn't have lost to Norway.
Yeah.
Had they deserved a point, and had they gotten that point against Norway, they would have been through to the next round.
And I think the players knew it because the scenes post games they were all in tears and they were very sad of their exit. So I think they were conscious of what they have done and what they could have done in the tournament, because, as you said, they deserved to qualify as well.
Yeah, in some ways they actually remind me of, make me think of Italy. Italy, though, are quite happy to have less possession, but they still sort of keep their opponents away from goal. They press at the right moment to keep them from a distance. Finland do something similar. They just don't allow much play near their ball. I mean, near their box. Even I noted, even with 10 minutes to go, and they're winning 1-0, they didn't start to defend. They didn't drop off. They were actually pressing. They were defending high up the pitch, and it took a lot. Switzerland only created 2 real chances in the last 15 minutes, and one of them was the goal.
Yeah.
You know, so Finland, I mean, did everything they could have, really. But I suppose this is what happens when you don't have just a couple of those quality players, the say creative or technical players playing at the highest level. Perhaps they needed that something else. But yeah, they were by no means, they were not the worst team in the group, and arguably they were the best team or certainly the most consistent. And then you go from them to say potentially strangely the least impressive team in the group has won all 3 matches, Norway. So Norway beat Iceland 4-3. This was a chaotic match. Iceland scored their first goal of the tournament through Jonsdottir, following up from a saved header and scored from 4 yards. Which apparently was the 50th goal of the tournament in just 16 matches, which is kind of great. But it was a bit of a change for Norway. I was wondering whether they'd keep the same lineup and try and get a bit of momentum and a bit of fluidity. But they did make changes. And possibly one of the real benefits of that was the young Gorpset. So Gorpset scored 2 very good goals. The first one, a corner from the right, she volleyed it in from about 12 yards out.
Yeah.
Really lovely finish. Then 10 minutes later, she received the ball, turned really well away from her marker and shot from 20 yards. Maybe the keeper could have done better, but it's still a really well-placed, precise shot. And Norway were winning 2-1 at half-time. So, and also Gorpset got an assist later on. So I think she's only 19. So hell of a performance from the teenager.
Yeah. The last goal you were talking about was impressive with the solo run and the lucidity to make the assist to its teammate, her teammate. Sorry.
Yeah, Marnham. I think it was Frida Marnham.
Yeah, it demands a lot of talent, and the thing I saw on the 4 goals is that 2 of them, the second and the fourth, I guess the Icelandic defense could have prevented it because they were fast too late to attack the ball.
They could have sat off, didn't they? They didn't run. They didn't try to block the shot.
Yeah, they allowed the Norwegian players to a lot of freedom to insert near to their goal, and they could have been prevented. And the third goal also was beautiful with the
that was
in the box.
That was lovely. And also with the dummy run from the striker, sort of giving Marnham the space. But also, it actually goes back to what you're saying, right? So I had to double check this because I didn't quite believe it. So Norway's XG was only 1.11, and yet they got 4 goals. And I did go and check it. Now, all of my stats come from, because the coverage is on BBC and ITV in this country. So my stats come from them, and they get it from Opta, I believe. So I'm guessing this is correct, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so 1.11 and 4 goals. Incredibly clinical from the Norwegians. But again, this goes back to, obviously, my preview of the tournament was Norway, as an attacking side, can score a lot of goals. They have incredible quality up front. But we also saw the vulnerability in defence because they conceded 3 goals against a team that hadn't scored in the tournament up to this point. What were your takeaways from? I mean, I'm assuming you saw the highlights for this one.
Yeah, Yeah.
So I have several screens. So I had one match on one screen, one on the other. And
This is something I cannot do. Have multi screens because I can't focus on one game, and it I love to just have one game in front of me.
Oh, I completely agree. But what I do is I've got AirPods, so I'll have my AirPod in my left ear, and then my partner's AirPod in my right ear, and that'll be connected to one screen. But then I'll turn one down, so that, like, the more important game will be turned up, and the other one will be turned down low. So that means if I hear cheering or excitement, then I can switch and concentrate on that one for a bit. Yeah, it gets confusing, especially when I think was it yesterday, day before. Both teams were wearing the exact same colours on both, so that got very strange. But yes, so looking at the highlights, would you be concerned if you were Norway? Because again, it looks like you can score a lot of goals and you have a real threat, but there doesn't seem to be a particularly good. They haven't had a clean sheet in this tournament so far, and they've played against not particularly strong sides.
Yeah. I think it was Sir Alex Ferguson who said that, but attacks make you win games, and defenses make you
win titles.
And I totally agree with that. You cannot win a tournament without a good defense. If we make a parallel with the Club World Cup, we saw PSG just conceding one goal en route to the final. So it's.
I was going to say, I think maybe Hansi Flick would disagree at Barcelona.
Yeah, of course.
But that's the only example. That's the only.
But I think they are very good at attacking, but they can be easily put into danger when they are when they have to defend. And I just took a look at the table, and they are one of the 4 teams that could end the group phase without losing, with 3 victories even. So it's impressive because they have won it all. But they can consider a lot of goals, and if not goals, occasions, and from occasions comes goals. So
I do see what you mean by that, and also again, go back to the thing of they have not been an impressive, consistent side in the weakest group. It'd be a bit different if this was an Iceland team that had already been eliminated. And to be fair, could then just try and attack, and so therefore there are more gaps, right? There are more gaps for Norway to try and exploit. But it's at no point have they controlled matches. They were lucky to beat Finland, and relied on like a 10-15 minute period. They were fairly fortunate to beat Switzerland. I mean that was just a very even game, except. Oh, wait, no, sorry. Norway beat Switzerland with a period of 10-15 minutes, in which they also got a penalty. They were very lucky to beat Finland and actually had a worse XG than Finland and less possession, but yet still won. It does feel like they've stumbled through this group, doesn't it?
Yeah, and the positive point from finishing first, it's that they will probably avoid Spain in the quarterfinal. So
that's a very fair point. Just give me 1 second. I have to move this. So
no problem.
Sorry, it's because obviously I'm in the sun. I don't want my phone sort of getting overheated. Yes, so I actually got some. Oh, the last thing to say about this game is, despite the fact it was something of a dead rubber, but a very exciting one. It does have some important effects on this though, because Norway conceded a penalty in the 3rd minute of stoppage time. But because the defender Lund pulled back the attacker, she got a second yellow card and was sent off. Now she's played in every single match, but is now going to miss the quarterfinal. Now, as you say, fortunately, they should be playing either Italy or probably
Portugal.
Italy, but possibly Portugal. I mean, possibly Spain. Stranger things have happened. But
do you think Spain can be beaten today?
We'll get back to that. It seems a bit. It does seem strange though, doesn't it? Because in this game where they've made changes, they've tried things, but that moment of just switching off at that moment not only concedes the penalty, but also it means you miss the next match, which is the important one. So yeah, a damaging red card.
Yeah.
Not that others aren't, obviously.
No. Yeah, I don't have to say more about that, but
fair enough. In that case, I've made you an alternative table of Group A.
Okay.
I will be doing this regularly, just so you know. So obviously now the group's decided, I get to tally up all the little statistics and things like that. So Norway scored 8 goals, which is pretty good, but conceded 5, as we mentioned. They haven't had a single clean sheet. Iceland conceded 7, only scored 3, all in that match. But I'm going to talk about XG. Now, obviously, XG isn't the be-all and end-all, but out of the 4 teams, Norway, Switzerland, Finland, and Iceland, and that's the order they finished in the group, out of those 4 teams, which team do you think had the highest cumulative XG for all 3 matches?
Finland, I think.
It's Iceland.
Okay, so it's
Iceland.
they finished 4th and had yeah.
Now, I should point out 2.42, so more than half of their XG was in that last match against Norway. They had a penalty as well. But even if they didn't get the penalty, they would still have the highest XG of the 4 teams, which is slightly surprising because obviously Iceland haven't felt like a real threat, but they have had opportunities. Now, which team do you think has the lowest cumulative XG in the group?
I would go with Switzerland.
It is Switzerland. Yeah. So they've had 0.98, 0.9, and 0.46. So they haven't created more than 1 XG in any match so far. So they do seem to be a team of moments. They actually don't seem to create many opportunities. Yeah,
but the important is to know when you have, even if you have just 1 opportunity a game, you have to seize it, and it's the important. And it's what they did.
Very fair. Okay, and finally for this, before we have a preview, so XG against, so conceding chances. Which of the 4 teams do you think had the worst XG against?
Norway.
It was Norway, 4.51, which is, again, they conceded 2.4 against Iceland, but still that kind of shows like why they've conceded 5 goals. They give up a lot of chances against the other sides. Which of the 4 teams do you think had the best XG against?
Finland.
No. It's close. It's Iceland again. So Iceland's had the best XG and the best XG against and finished on 0 points. So again, like how you sum up this group is very much a case of, well, actually Finland were 2.79 against, Iceland were 2.78. So we are talking 0.01. But we are talking about the 2 sides with the biggest gap between their positive gap between their XG and XG against. Both of them have been eliminated.
Yeah.
So it's strange, but also speaks volumes about either, as we spoke about, taking the very few moments you have, like riding the pressure, taking the moments, or having the players that are able to take those moments in, for example, like Norway.
Yeah, it's as you said, you have 2 options, and I think Norway has better players than the 3 other teams in the group, and Switzerland, they scored when they needed to. Even if yesterday the thing is that Finland had to win this game to be qualified, and they did until the very end of the game. Switzerland had 1 opportunity and they just succeed to strike. So
yeah, you do wonder, and I'm sure, I think the COVID season backs this up. You do wonder if the reason that Switzerland have got through is because they're at home. You know, having the home crowd and every single match is pushing you, giving you that extra few percent, could make all the difference. So quickly, because I know you need to leave very shortly. A quick preview on today. So Spain against Italy. Spain just need a draw to win the group. Italy, if they win, they win the group. If they draw, they finish 2nd. The only context they can't go through is Portugal beating Belgium, and there being a 6-goal swing. So say, hypothetically, Portugal beat Belgium 3-0 and Spain beats Italy 3-0. Then Portugal can go through. But it's not
It's
likely, is it?
Yeah, no, I don't think, and I would not. Don't think Italy will make something against Spain. Maybe they will get a draw because Spain just need a draw. They will maybe make a turnaround, a turnover in the squad.
Yeah,
But
keep players fresh. You do think because they're in such a dominant position, few changes
yeah,
for Spain, but also they've not. Italy are an incredibly well organised defence, which they've not. Spain haven't played yet this tournament, so it'll be a
yeah.
different kind of challenge.
And when you look at Spain last 10 games, they only lost once against
England,
England. Yeah,
yeah,
and they beat France, Belgium, Portugal, Japan, and England. So, yeah,
yeah.
it would be a major upset if Italy won against
Mm. I
Spain.
honestly, I can see a scrappy 1-1, but I just can't see Italy beating Spain.
Yeah,
I can't. I have yet to see a reason why any team could prevent Spain scoring, and Italy do not score many, quite frankly, ever. Um, okay, and before we go, let's have some transfer talk. So, first of all, in the Premier League, I just wanted to get your opinion on something because Tottenham Hotspur have confirmed the signing of Mohamed Kudus
yeah.
from West Ham for £55 million. But they've also triggered the release clause for Morgan Gibbs-White from Nottingham Forest. Now, the reason I bring this up is because obviously both of them are sort of attacking midfielders, almost like in a number 10 or like a wide number 10 sort of role. But Tottenham Hotspur also have James Maddison and
Yeah,
Dejan
that's right.
Kulusevski, as well as having wingers in Son Heung-min and Brennan Johnson. So what do you think? Does this give us a clue about how Thomas Frank will want to play? Do you think he'll be playing with a lot of number 10s as opposed to wingers?
Yeah, if I think he will play with two number 10s. And Kudus and Morgan Gibbs-White are great players, but if I had to choose between one of them, I would go with Morgan Gibbs-White. I don't know
Yeah.
what you think of that, but he is impressive. He has everything, and he's particularly a physical player for a number 10 on attacking midfielder. He's really good. He was one of the key men in for Nottingham Forest this season, who finished 7th in the league, if I'm not mistaken.
You do worry about considering how well they did to actually qualify for the Conference League, because obviously Morgan Gibbs-White, his release clause has been triggered. Anthony Elanga is in conversation with Newcastle United about a move.
Yeah.
You do wonder where Forest will go from there, because that'll be part of the reason they were so successful is because they had this devastating counter-attack with Hudson-Odoi, Elanga, Gibbs-White, and Chris Wood up top.
And Chris Wood, yeah.
You do wonder, losing two of those four, what that would do to their tactical identity, and would they lose the fluidity, the familiarity, the potency of it all?
Yeah, and there is also one player I like at Nottingham. I don't know if he will stay or not, but it's Elliot Anderson, the midfielder. I think
he's so good.
Yeah, I think he's really talented, and he will be in a top 6 club in maybe not this year.
I can only speak as a Newcastle fan, but there was the cruelty that Newcastle had to sell an academy product to avoid PSR points deduction, and they sold Elliot Anderson despite the fact he's one of the best young English midfielders. I honestly think in 12 months' time they'll just buy him back for another 55 million pounds. So they've sold him for, I think it was 35, but then they'll just buy him back.
He's very talented player, I think.
Absolutely, and he shone for the England under 21s, didn't he? The other transfer thing I was going to bring up, because we've still got only a minute or so. So a couple of days ago, Jordan Henderson, he mutually cancelled his contract with Ajax. They sort of, again, mutual decision to end his contract. And with Sunderland being promoted to the Premier League, and Sunderland being where Jordan Henderson trained and grew up and his boyhood club, everyone was putting the pieces together saying, oh, he's going to go back to Sunderland for their return to the Premier League. That's what's going to happen. No, he's signing for Brentford.
Oh, I didn't see that news. But talking about just Sunderland, yeah. But talking about Sunderland, they are realizing a terrific transfer window.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. They're buying a lot.
And
They've had a lot of smart recruitment recently.
yeah, and that's incredible how championship promoted team can spend as much money on transfer market, because they spent like maybe close to 100 million pound, no?
I don't think it's quite that far. Yeah. I think it's currently about 70. But I think the idea is that so if you think about last year, Ipswich, they achieved back-to-back promotions from League One to the Championship to the Premier League, which was astonishing. Championship, sorry. Yeah. But obviously a considerable number of their squads either left after a loan period, or a lot of their squad were still League One players. So essentially, what Ipswich did was spend all the money they got from their television revenue from the Premier League. They spent that entire money on just rejuvenating the squad. So obviously now Ipswich are down in the Championship again, but they have a good Championship squad, which they wouldn't have had unless they did that. And you imagine Sunderland will be doing something similar, because they relied heavily on loans last season. So you expect that this sort of is a rejuvenation. This is a case of like, okay, spending all that television money, and that means even if they do get relegated, they're in a significantly stronger position. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's a very Ligue 1 French DNA team.
Yeah,
also Sunderland. So it's interesting. But talking just about championship teams promoted to Premier League and spending a lot of money, I think you remember about Nottingham Forest when they were promoted to Premier League. It was
signed, what was it, 26 players?
Yeah. I don't remember how much, but how many players they recruited, but it was incredible. Yeah. So,
but they did get a points deduction that became irrelevant because the teams that year were terrible in the bottom three. So before we go, the last bit of transfer news I was going to say is for the women's Arsenal team. So a world record transfer fee has been bid for Canadian forward Olivia Smith. She plays for Liverpool. Okay. Arsenal have bid over £1 million. So the current transfer record in the women's game is Naomi Girma, I think, American defender for Chelsea. She was bought for the first ever $1 million woman in the football. And Olivia Smith looks like she's going to be the first ever £1 million player. Now she's, for those who don't know, she's 20 years old. She scored 7 goals in the WSL last year from not particularly good Liverpool side, so that looks good. I suppose what I would bring up, I'm not sure how much you know about this, but like, did you watch the Women's Champions League final?
I don't know.
Fair enough. So Arsenal are one of the few clubs in women's game that is absolutely stacked in every single position. So Arsenal's forward line, they have Beth Mead. They've just signed Chloe Kelly on the right wing. They've got Caitlin Ford on the left. Mariona Caldante, who's now starring for the Spain squad, either plays as a number 10 or on the left. They've got Alessia Russo up front and Black Stenius. So their front three positions, they got 2 incredible class players across the front three. I suppose the question is, where do you think Olivia Smith, considering she'd be the most expensive player ever for the women's game, do you think? How do you think she fits into that? Do you think Arsenal are actually going to have to sell? Because they do. Arsenal are one of the few clubs in the women's game that do tend to spend big money, but they do have this incredible squad.
That's difficult. And the fact that she's Canadian, isn't she?
Yes, she's Canadian.
Yeah. So she comes from a totally different place in. Not as renowned league as the
although again, just to remind, she's played for Liverpool this last year. So for 1 year, she played for Liverpool.
Okay, so yeah, but I think it's if it's men or women, it's the same thing for me. If a player is good enough to play, she will play, but it will be difficult for her. But to be alongside experienced player and quality player will help her to develop a game. So I think it's a really great opportunity for this kind of young player to come to Arsenal. But
I mean, she's joining the European champions.
yeah, and but the only thing, she will have to deal with pressure, because as you said, they are reigning Champions League champions, and also because of the price of transfer, which can be difficult at that young age.
Right, I suppose. I mean, before we leave, just another thing popped into my head, which I'll bring up and then promptly ignore. But because obviously, women's football is taken so much more seriously than it has been. We still don't know things like, for example, peak ages, because obviously in men's football we had an idea of where peak age was for positions, and then in the last few years it looks like that peak age is actually getting slightly earlier, or rather, younger players are becoming that good earlier. We still don't really know with the women's game. So you look at, was it Schutz, the Dutch player who's 35 and played 240 odd games for the Netherlands? You know, a Kim Little, 35-year-old playing for Arsenal. You have quite a lot of examples of high quality women's players still in their mid 30s, still at the highest level of the game. I mean, you look at Jenny Hermosa, right? I think she's 34 now. But I do wonder if that's part of the thinking, right? Because again, Olivia Smith's only 20. And you think about Arsenal's front line, I think Beth Mead is 29 or 30. Caitlin Ford is 31, I think. Yeah, you do wonder if it's with an eye on the future. But again, you sort of question when is too old, or when are players over past their peak in the women's game, because we actually don't have a clear idea of that yet.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I think it evolves with the technological possibility today, the way the staffs work with their players. I don't have as many knowledge as you in women's football, but what do you think the edge would be, the peak edge would be?
Well, I don't think it exists yet, and I think the reason for that is conditioning. So conditioning in the women's game and fitness coaching. Coaching has only been professionalized in the women's game for the last handful of years. It's shockingly recent. The worst of which is goalkeeping, because you think about how you coach goalkeeping in the men's game. You have to coach it a completely different way in the women's game, because first of all, they're just not as tall, and so therefore but the goals are the same size, right? So you have to think of new techniques about how to reach the top corner, how to reach the bottom corner, which hand to go with, which foot to spring off. And that coaching just hasn't existed. This is why so many people, when they, quite often, and let's face it, it's mostly men, whenever they complain about the women's game, saying, oh, it's slower, oh, it's not as good. The big one was, oh, the goalkeeping is rubbish. That's not been the case for the last sort of 4 or 5 years. But part of the reason is because that coaching just never existed, right?
Yeah.
But now it does. Now it's professionalized. Now there are paid women's football goalkeeping coaches. Sorry, this is a long answer to say, but I think we've had a similar thing with fitness coaching in the women's game, and conditioning, and understanding how to, and as well, now that there are more and more professional women's football players, and this is their only job, their conditioning is getting better. So you've got the strange situation where you've got players in their early and mid 30s are actually getting better because their physical condition is improving.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So actually, I don't think
Yeah.
we know where these peaks are, because actually the quality of coaching, the quality of conditioning is improving even as the players are getting older. So even if they're getting, say, slower, they're getting stronger.
Yeah.
I
that
actually
makes
don't
sense.
So I don't think we know when a peak is, because again, just the things surround the support network around women's players is also improving. It's quite a strange thing to say, but yeah, I think women's coaching and stuff like that is only just catching up to the men's coaching. So who knows, eh? Right, should we leave it there? Because I think that's enough of a monologue for me. Thank you so much, and I know you have to run off now, but thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Daniel.
Right, so everybody, please join us. Is it tomorrow or Sunday morning we're doing the preview for the Club World Cup final?
We'll see with the
We'll
team.
We'll see. But there will be a big preview for the final, and obviously a review after the final. Make sure you check Watch out for my match reports and the data reports from the Women's Euros. That the next one will be coming out in about a couple of hours. And then social medias, subscribe, follow, etc. And we'll all see you next time. Have a great day, everybody.
Have a great day, everybody, and thank you, Daniel.
Bye bye.
Goodbye.